Cementing a greener future of zero carbon cement and concrete. Please welcome Juan Nieto, GP and founding partner at Zacua Ventures, Tim McCaffery, Global Investment Director, Deep Technology and Life Sciences at Siam Cement Group, Liliana Cruz, Decarbonization Investment Analyst at CEMEX Ventures. We also have Daphne de la Grandiere, Circular Economy Project Manager at Saint-Gobain. And we have Edelio Bermejo, Head of Global R&D at Holcim Innovation Center, and the moderator, Andreas Winter, Extra Partner at Kompas VC. Looks like we're all set. Let's make sure everyone has a microphone. And enjoy. The stage is all yours.
Thank you. So let's hope that a few more people filter in over the next couple of minutes, and maybe use the time basically now for the people who are already there to introduce ourselves. I'm Andreas, partner at Kompas VC. We are an early stage venture investor in the built environment, work on decarbonization and digitalization around buildings mostly. And we do this in Europe, Israel, and the US. And
so Edelio Bermejo, the head of the global R&D for Holcim. Holcim building materials, cement, aggregates, and concrete.
I'm Daphne de la Grandiere, working as the external venture project manager for Saint-Gobain. For those who don't know, Saint-Gobain, it's a $50 billion worldwide manufacturer. That is designing, manufacturing, and distributing construction projects and high-performance solutions. And we are a team of 15 people spread between US, Europe, and Asia. I'm focusing on circular economy and sustainability. And the link between Saint-Gobain and cement and concrete is in two axes. One is we are a customer of cement because we are using them in manufacturing mortars or gypsums, and also through a brand Point P that is manufacturing ready-mixed concrete and precast elements. But we are also supplier for those industries with our construction chemical brands, so Chryso and GCP, that are producing additives for cement and concrete.
Hi everyone, I'm Liliana, I'm Decarbonization Investment Analyst at CEMEX Ventures. So I joined the company approximately 1 year ago, and I'm currently helping the team with the decarbonization efforts, seeking breakthrough technologies to help us mitigate the 2030 and 2050 targets, such as carbon capture, utilization storage, electrification, waste to energy, among others. So for anyone who doesn't know, CEMEX Ventures is a material building supplier company, specialized in cement, ready-mix concrete, and aggregates. And we have presence in more than 50 countries. So within CEMEX, CEMEX Venture is the corporate venture arm and the open innovation platform of CEMEX. And we are dedicated of seeking partnerships of different types across the construction value chain, such as decarbonization.
Hi, I'm Tim McCaffery. I'm the Global Investment Director for SCG. I manage our life sciences and deep tech funds. SCG is a conglomerate based in Bangkok. We have a cement building materials business, chemicals business, packaging business, clean energy business, and an emerging life sciences business.
Thanks, Tim. So this is Juan. I'm one of the general partners at Zacua Ventures, which is an early stage construction technology fund, which is investing to solve the biggest challenge all across the construction value chain. If I may add to this, so our fund uniqueness is that we are solely backed by some of the world's largest construction industry stakeholders. Some of them are sitting here, and basically we look forward to cooperate together with them to solve those challenges with our startups.
Great. So maybe to start here and give a little bit of a background, why are we talking about cement, which is in our daily lives? We are surrounded by cement all the time, but we don't notice it. And because we don't notice it, we are not aware of the carbon impact that cement or concrete actually has. In the past years, coming from the automotive industry, what I noticed or what I learned is that people are really good at noticing things that they sort of interact with on a daily basis. So cars big impact sort of in people's minds on sort of, okay, this is carbon emissions, we need to decarbonize this. Similar with air travel, everyone sees planes, everyone talks about this one. But transport is actually surprisingly small and still attracting a disproportionate amount of climate tech investment, while cement itself accounts for 7% of carbon emissions. That is more than airline travel globally. And outside of this panel and a few experts, nobody really started talking about this until a couple of years ago. So with that, Juan, starting with you, why is now the time to address this challenge and invest in carbon neutral cement?
That's a good question. Yeah, actually, like basic and like short answer will be is one of the largest like climate threats that we are living like today. In terms of like why now, what we have seen is basically three factors that are driving the adoption of the change in the industry, and I would love to get like someone else's opinion on this. But first is about the overall awareness. So that fact that you just said, I think is broadly known like nowadays, and everyone started to think about, okay, what are the effects of using cement and concrete as a building material? So that is driving like all the supply chain and a cascade of like successes. So owners asking for like novel like solutions, end customers asking for the same, etc., etc. Second is about regulation. So the regulation is allowing and pushing like for the different stakeholders to adopt these technologies, and obviously the technology itself. So some technologies that nowadays are commercially available, and from a cost perspective, those like seem to be start to be like a viable option. That will be like the third factor. But overall, I think it's like a hot potato like today for the industry, and I wish like more and more like investors are also looking after this.
Okay, you said that some technologies are becoming available now or more feasible, more or less, and we have a couple of very technical experts here who can talk about this. So what is then the state of the technology? So what has happened? What are the key trends? What will work? What won't work?
Yeah. So one of the key trends is scalability of the technologies that we're implementing today. We just need to remind few elements. Today, we are building the equivalent of New York every month, or the equivalent of Paris every week. So that means that the scale of what is ahead of us is huge when we just think that in 2050 we will be welcoming 2 billion additional people. So that means that we really need to tackle this, otherwise we will be hitting the wall. And the wall means that it has to be scalable. We need to think big, and we will come back later on the startups initiatives and how to invest, but we need to think big from the very, very beginning. So that means that the trends in terms of technologies have to start from these scalable solutions. And we need to start from what we're doing today and how to improve that. So first, greening our operations. So that means that when we're making cement or concrete, we need to decarbonize. There's no option. The second is that we need to green the building as well. So put less cement in the concrete, less concrete in the building, and to think differently the design of the building itself, so which means that we need to work with the architects. The third one is the building in operations. So we need to lower the energy which is needed during the life cycle of the building. And at the very, very end, if retrofitting or renovation is not possible, we need to recycle, which means that the trends today are in these four fields: how to green the operations, how to build better with less, how to improve the energy efficiency, and here we have a lot of startups which are very, very, very much interesting. And the last one is on the recycle area.
So greening operations. So you can either, and maybe, I don't know, Tim or whatever, you can either go to sort of renewable energy sources. I don't know if you're prepared for this to talk, but you can also sort of use AI. There are a couple of startups that do that. What are the things that, from your point of view, would probably work best?
Well, so when you think of the cement production, the CO2 emissions come in three areas. One is the running of the plant. Okay, you can electrify all the belts and all the electricity that's going into moving the material. So there's a certain amount of electricity just used to move the billions of tons of material around. Then you have the CO2 that's generated from burning coal to run the kilns at 1500 degrees C. There you can start switching to biomass or doing other things to step that down. And there's a number of companies looking at new kiln technology, ways to store and deliver heat. The other area, which would be the CO2 stream that comes off of the rock itself. So when you make cement, you take calcium carbonate and cook it to calcium oxide, and you get CO2 that is emitted out of the rock, which I don't think a lot of people really fundamentally understand. That CO2 stream is highly pure and can be used in CCUS to convert it to methanol or other chemical monomers that could help to decarbonize across different industries. So there's going to be the deployment of multiple different technologies to decarbonize cement. And depending on who you listen to, you can get all the way to 0 or only to 40%. So there's a wide range in experts' opinions of how low you can go.
Okay, great. So maybe Edelio, back to you, and this is maybe a little bit of a contentious question, but saying, okay, we need to reduce sort of the amount of cement that we use or concrete that we use in a building. That absolutely goes against sort of the fundamentals of a business that always wants to grow and wants to sell more. So how will the shift or that transition to saying, okay, we need to be probably invest more in new technologies and we need to sell less material in the future than work? How can you make that work?
We will be moving from volume to value. And we will be increasing the value that we need to inject in the cement. The technologies that we're mentioning are the ones that everyone in the cement industry is looking at. The CCUS, definitely it's one of the solutions. The point is that the CCUS, the time we need to implement it, because that's a very costly solution that we already have started to implement, but it will take time to convert all the plants. So that's why definitely this is the hard to abate. We need to go for it, but in between, we just need to remind this is the decade to make it happen. So we need to implement the solutions that we already have and the ones that are already popping up from startups, and we need to implement them immediately.
Liliana, what are the technologies that you are most excited about in this area? What have you come across?
Okay, so there are already some technologies available to decarbonize the cement industry, such as reducing the clinker factor in the cement that represents approximately 90% of the CO2 emissions from the cement production, and also to reduce the CO2 emissions from the energy usage in the process. So these two goals are within CEMEX targets for 2030. However, these two goals are insufficient to reach the net zero emissions, right? So right now it's needed to find innovative and also disruptive technologies. And these include carbon capture, utilization, storage, electrification, waste to energy, hydrogen, among others. So from these examples that I give, the carbon capture and storage will play a major role in the decarbonizing cement industry. However, the storage of the CO2 comes with a big problem because it depends on existing and costly infrastructure. And also sometimes the point source emitter is not close enough from the storage location. So it is within this context that the CO2 utilization plays a big role, and it also allows to close the loop on carbon. So in this front, CEMEX Ventures has partnered with a Canadian startup called Carbon Upcycling that basically reduces CO2 in two ways. Basically, it takes the industrial waste, combines the industrial waste with captured CO2 to form a low CO2 concrete. So with this partnership, we intend to reduce our carbon footprint, but also allowing a circular economy. Because we are utilizing waste that otherwise will end up in landfills. In addition to this, waste valorization could also play a big role in the decarbonized cement industry because it allows for a cleaner energy consumption, because we can utilize municipal and industrial waste in cement kilns instead of coal or natural gas. And also we are promoting a circular economy, right? Because we are utilizing, converting waste into fuels. So in order to do this, CEMEX has partnered with a Spanish company called Waste to Energy that basically holds a gasification technology that converts biomass and waste to create a syngas that can later be upgraded to biomethane or hydrogen and be used in the cement kilns. So with this partnership, we are not only reducing the carbon footprint, but we are also allowing for an increase in alternative fuels consumption. So these are just two examples of how CEMEX is reducing our carbon footprint while promoting a circular economy.
Okay. Now we have heard from the producers, but Daphne, you said that you are actually consuming concrete or cement. So from your point of view, then, or from Saint-Gobain's point of view, what drives adoption for you? So why and what needs to happen for wider adoption?
So, of course, like for any green product, adoption is driven by the demand of the market, by the growing awareness, environmental awareness, some regulations, and so yeah, and so there is also the competition between the different producer and distributor of concrete product. If you have a greener product, you can keep your market share and even gain some. But something that is important to highlight, I think, it's the fact that concrete is the second most used material after water. And this is because it's a cheap material that has also a lot of good characteristics. It does not rot, it does not deform, mold, it has a good fire resistance. So for all those reasons, it's used a lot. And with the growing demand with urbanization, the only aspect that does not compete with other elements is the carbon footprint of the concrete. So if the concrete need to lower this carbon footprint to still be used, so the adoption of a green solution is one of the elements that will help for that.
Okay. So in my previous panel, we talked a lot about regulation and the role that it plays in sort of decarbonizing the built environment. Again, what I said before is sort of regulation is actually your friend because regulation levels the playing field and it gives you sort of the possibility to plan your investments on both sides. But apart from that, what do you see maybe and open to everyone, what do you see in terms of regulation happening or in policy changes or in sort of incentives? What will drive this and what will what sort of supports and what hinders?
So the first example that I would like to mention, and you mentioned that before in the previous panel, is France, Germany, Denmark, Finland. They are imposing a regulation and there's no choice. And this is the best incentive because then it's giving to the CO2, to the green, a price which otherwise will not exist. France, the RE 2020 is just imposing the maximum CO2 footprint per square meter for the next building to be built. So there's no choice. So you cannot build differently now. Plus the fact that the ETS system, the European trading scheme, exists with a price of 90 euros per ton of CO2, it's creating the incentive. So this is needed. Unfortunately, we don't see that in the US, not that much. We see that in some geographies like Mexico, like Canada, but not enough.
No? So and you touched on something here, and cement or concrete is global, but at the same time it's super local. So we're using it all over the world. It's a fairly, well, from the appearance, it's a fairly uniform product, but it actually has to respond to sort of local conditions and so on. Do you see there, and then we have sort of the different regulations. We have regulations in, we have fewer regulations in some areas, in more. How do you bridge that as a global producer, Tim, or not a global producer, but as a producer? So how do you sort of, or I open it also up to Liliana, how do you deal with this, and how do you roll out technologies then across sort of a wide array of operations?
Well, so the product has to remain the same. So the technologies that we're looking to roll out are to address the CO2 issue while keeping the product the same and ideally not having a significant impact on cost, and that's the biggest challenge. So if we were to decarbonize cement, we would add probably double the cost today. And that has a number of ramifications when you go downstream into the impact on construction projects, jobs, all the other things. So the impact of putting a carbon tax in or a carbon border adjustment mechanism for us means that if cement, let's say, produced in China, starts to come to Southeast Asia, it starts to affect our market. So how one group or country puts in place a carbon mechanism and then other producers that are outside of that start shipping product, it can lead to many different impacts throughout the whole supply chain, which is not a good and easy answer, but that's the nature of it.
Well, if it were easy, then we probably would have solved it by now, hopefully. But opening it up again for the entire panel, and this is sort of a, maybe, I don't know, chicken or egg problem, but should we aim for a perfect solution, or should we sort of look towards, okay, every incremental improvement that we can make in either process, in materials, and so on? What is the best approach to do this? And
But so my group, we have a decarbonization roadmap like every other group. We, when I asked them and so, okay, they came up with CCUS and I say, okay, how did you come up with CCUS as a specific percentage? And they said, well, that was what was left that we couldn't get rid of in any other way. So that was where they ran out of ideas, and they just plugged that in as the stopgap. Now, in our venture investing, we're looking for disruptive technologies that we could invest in that gives our business potential opportunities for production and decarbonization that is outside of the window that our current operations group is looking for decarbonization. So that's how fitting in venture investment with the existing operations piece can help to take the big wins if those companies are successful.
You want to come?
Yeah, so I think it's depend on the horizon. Like the perfect solutions will be in a more longer term. So for the moment, incremental solutions are needed. That's why I think all the cement manufacturers have already worked on that to optimize the cement plant, etc. You have some solutions, as you mentioned, that might be more disruptive, other that are relying on existing equipment. For example, you have Forterra that is retrofitting cement plant to capture CO2 to make low carbon cement alternatives. But it's based on actual equipment, where the idea will be to really avoid emitting new emissions and trying to just use emissions that are already existing. And you have some other technologies that are really low TRL, but trying to make a biocement using biomimetism from coral, for example, trying to capture CO2 with minerals to create calcium carbonate. And this will be longer term solutions, but I think we need both because we don't have time to wait for the perfect solution.
Juan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, my comment was exactly that. So I think there is a trade-off between what is the impact that a solution could have, what is going to be the time for that solution to get to the market, and then third, how much it's going to cost me, right? As either like a customer or as an investor. And I think I probably agree with you that we need both. And the truth is that what we have seen out there, and this is like something that is really great, depends on each like group, like net zero goals and configuration. Some of those, or some of you guys are investing on one technologies and others are investing on the others. The risk that I see on the longer term technologies is that sometimes you can get disrupted. Because technology keeps evolving, and if the time to market for a technology is like 5+ years, on that 5-year time frame, they could have come like something new. And when I was at CEMEX, we were always saying, ideally at some point in time, by 2040, 2050, or whoever knows, we're making cement without making cement. That could sound like a bold statement, but it's true. At the end, we don't know what's going to be used as a binder in the future, right? So it's always like a trade-off. And maybe just commenting from my investor perspective, at least on our side, like, the time frame that we have to invest is limited. So it's not unlimited, but the capital is limited as well. So we're in a really tricky situation when we're investing towards decarbonization, because the time we have like to get into that is limited. And we always need to have like the right balance between breakthrough component and cost and time component, right?
Hey, Juan, staying on that, time is limited. You're VC and similar to me, and you have sort of a 10-year fund life cycle usually. How do you invest in cement or in concrete decarbonization? How do you make materials work? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Who can approach you?
Yeah, very much everyone, please, because that's my job. That's what I get paid for. We don't like sustainability at all cost. So we like technologies that have, let's say, until like a let's say short-term like horizon, medium-term horizon, a component that could make it work from a cost perspective. So it's something that we're always looking. So we like technologies that can solve like a big chunk of the problem, but ideally they can solve it like at an affordable manner. Because now like projects have, if you look at like from the client side, right, the contractor or like the developer, now they look at cost, time, but then sustainability. So these three variables state is coming to stay, but cost is there, right? So they're not gonna pay anything for this. I totally agree with what Edelio stated before, because at the end, if you are bringing a more sustainable solution, you are adding value towards the longer term. And those savings that you are capturing on the future, you can transfer that to a higher cost like today. So those are the technologies that we're looking to invest and collaborate. And ideally, we get more of that. I mean, I think there is not enough. Even that, very much all investors in that space thinks that we are receiving a lot of like breakthrough technologies. I think we need to do much more in here. And I would love to get like everyone else comments, because I think all of you have been investing heavily in this.
Yeah. So let's have Tim and Liliana have a say in this one too.
Yeah, so I mean, we look at the similar metrics. Okay, how can the companies, the impact of technology? As a strategic investor, we also look to see, can we do a project that's greater than $100 million with those companies? So we have to have a number of different hurdles to pass. On the cement side, we've made 2 investments in cement decarbonization specifically. My fund, we invest across multiple sectors, but cement is one of the areas that we are keen for, because we're a cement producer. So the 2 that we've done is C4C and Sublime Systems. Sublime Systems has the potential to completely decarbonize the whole chain if they're successful. Yes.
And also to add a little comment on that, so there is enthusiasm but also concerns in what is the best strategy to invest. But basically, we should, the industry should be aware of mobilizing the capital from green transition funds to specialized cements, because these green transition funds probably doesn't have a well-defined scope. So here the strategy is to invest in startups that has a go-to-market strategy well-defined, because are these specialized and small startups that will accelerate the transition of the built environment to reach net zero emissions. So this is just a comment that the industry should be aware of.
So, Edelio, now that we have heard from all the investors, switching sides again, what do you want, or how can investors or the startup ecosystem work better with you? And in general, as a technical expert, what do you bring to the table? What can they bring to the table, and how do we improve the collaboration?
Yeah. So at Holcim, let's be extremely honest, we don't have the capability, the financial capability to support all the startups. But we have expertise, and the others as well. And our claim is that by scouting the best startups that we can find in the world, and we have an accelerator program for that in the Holcim Maker Ventures, we are just claiming what are, according to us and to our partners, which are in the value chain, what are the best startups that you should invest in. And we're claiming that loud, just to make sure that these startups have the financial capability, and we're supporting with the expertise or the industrial assets as well, capability for them to test. So we are bringing the ecosystem to make them fly, because we cannot bring the financial support to them to make them fly, or at least not all of them. So we're investing in some of them, but more importantly, we're claiming, and very openly to everyone, hey guys, we have invested in this one, or we have detected that one, and we will not invest because we cannot, but you should. So it's a way to say to everyone, please look at these ones, and not at the others. And when I mean the others is that we are very, very selective as well, because we believe that if the solution is not scalable, available everywhere, affordable, and what I mean by scalable, we need to deal with materials that are, or new materials that are available or producible everywhere. We are seeing from time to time solutions based on slag or fly ashes, but it's declining. This market is declining, and it's already used by the cement makers. So if you're just treating a slag or a fly ash differently, we don't care, because this product is already used to decarbonize our industry. But let's look at minerals that are in the planet, which are largely available. That would make sense, more sense. But my message here is that we're scouting, detecting, selecting, and then making it known for you to invest.
Great. So speed round between everyone. Basically, what advice would you give startups or investors looking at that space? How can they be successful?
So I think what is really crazy, it's the last past year, a lot of startups have emerged. It's really diverse solutions. So it's hard to know, it's really challenging to know which of these startups will be the one that will at the end have a solutions that fitting with the needs. So there is a need to keep an eye on all the startups that are emerging, stay in touch with people that have the technology, the technological expertise to make some partnership and to make it test with them. And at the end, I think for investors, have a diverse portfolio is key also in this area.
And also what I said before, right? Because there are a lot of technologies out there, and it's really difficult to find the right technology. That's why it's really important that the startup has the go-to-market really well defined. So it is really important to find the individual projects to invest in. And also, when investing, the industry, or in this case, the corporations, should look for all the available financial resources that there is available. Could be private through equity, or also through public bodies. And in this case, CEMEX is setting an example, and has gathered grants from public bodies such as the U.S. Department of Energy or the European Union.
The strongest consortium of investors is going to be a mix of financial and strategics that are working closely together. Each side needs to learn from each other. So the financial side, I've seen companies in our portfolio where the financial investors have put in a set of expectations and milestones for which the technology development time was longer. And that's where the companies can then get sort of sideways with one group of investors or the other. And this can then be a problem because these deep tech startups take a lot longer to incubate, and the pilots are a lot more costly to run. So the strongest startups will have a mix, and the strongest entrepreneurs will be able to manage that mix really well.
For me, very little to add to what all experts said. Maybe think of the supply chain. So think where you are tapping into, who you are partnering with, because when you look into cement, there is a lot of dominance by the top 5, 10 players, and then you look into the concrete one, is the exact opposite. I mean, there is a lot of ownership, but at the end, there's a lot of family-owned concrete plants all everywhere in the world. So it's really different when you're going after cement versus concrete, and think where you are tapping into, and think of not disrupting a lot the supply chain. Otherwise, it's gonna be hard to scale and to get that, let's say, repeatable go-to-market.
Great. So do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, that's a big one. Do we have a question from the audience?
Heavy topic.
I have a question for the other. As corporate groups, do you need to own to support some technologies, or you guys are open to cooperate on different let's say schemes?
Can you say the last part again? Different. My group doesn't own we invest alongside the businesses, and so we partner with our businesses they will ultimately be the end owner of the strategic projects that we run with those companies.
And we invest in some strategic companies because we strongly believe in these ones, but because we cannot invest in all of them, we make it known on the ones we invested and on the ones that people should invest, just to make sure that it's very well spread and very well communicated.
Can I sign up for your newsletter?
Sorry?
Can I sign up for your newsletter on what to invest in, which startups?
No, it's public. Huh? We have communicated, and it's done on purpose. It's a signaling to the industry. We do it, and by the way, the industry as well is doing that. The GCCA, the Global Cement and Concrete Association, has replicated exactly the same principle, which is an accelerator, making it known. And investors, you should be investing in this company. So the signaling is very clear.
So for us, it's the same. We are a strategic investor. We are investing through the balance sheet of our businesses. So to be sure that they are really wanted to collaborate with the startup and they are creating value together. And we talk about the fact that we are customer of cement, but we are also supplier through the additive manufacturer that we have. And we know that for low carbon solutions, it's a different chemistry, so they will need for different additives. And so we want to partner with the solution to help them to also optimize the solution to achieve the requirement performance for being in the market.
And also CEMEX, Juan, as you already know, CEMEX, besides investing in a startup, also wants to help the startup in their go-to-market strategy, right? Through pilots, R&D testing activity, or giving them access to our network of partners, such as Zacua that is here. So a large percentage of the companies that we contact are brought to us through Zacua, and also the reverse is also through. So we like to couple the investment with also a strategic partnership.
Thank you very much. I think that's it, and it was great to talk to you.